Howdy, friends and floorheads. Welcome to Call of Cthulhu, episode 3 of the Mr. Corbett adventure, or at least my take on it. You're going to see a time jump since episode 2, but it is going to be less of a time jump that we, the players, have gone through. We've had some scheduling challenges. It seems like forever since we've played. I am so excited, but before we get started, we've got a little player advancement to go. So if you're not familiar with Call of Cthulhu, there's no experience points or anything like that. It's based obviously on the basic role-playing system, BRP. And one of the things I like about BRP is based on what you used. So the way that this works is for every roll you succeeded on, every skill roll you succeeded on, you roll a percentile dice. And if you roll over that skill that you had succeeded on in the previous sessions, you get to advance that skill 1d10. So, Joe, let's start with you. In the first 2 episodes, what did we see Siobhan succeed at?
So I succeeded in a stealth check, and I also succeeded in a natural world check that I had absolutely no right to succeed in.
All right, so which one do we want to try first?
Let's roll the stealth.
All right. And what is your stealth?
Stealth at the moment is 20.
All right. I like your chances.
A smarter person could do math. Hey.
All right, so that is a success in this case. Normally it would be a failure, but you rolled over. So if you can just do in the die roller, you should be able to choose a D10.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and up your stealth skill by 4. And now that you are an expert at natural world, we'll give that a try in a second. You able to edit it okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, that is also a success in this case. Let's do a D10 for that. 6 points, increase in natural world. You've learned so much in these 5 weeks, Joe.
Plants are weird.
So we have another character that had a bit of a rough time in episode 2. Poor Ashanti.
Yes, I did.
But Ashanti did do some successful skill rolls in the first 2 episodes. So let's go ahead and give that a try.
Okay, my 2 were handgun and spot hidden.
All right, which one are we doing first, and what do you have in it?
I have handgun and I have a 40 in it.
All right, let's give it a roll.
Okay, I succeeded a lot. And 1d10.
All right.
Sorry, it's not. Roll.
Yes. Stalled on my side. Give me just 1 second, LaShawn. Let me refresh. It might kick you out. If so, come back in.
Okay.
There it goes.
Yep, I rolled a 9.
Oh, wow. Nice. So let's up your handgun by 9.
Yeah.
Oh, you rolled a 98. Whoa. All right. And then the other one you said was what again? I'm sorry.
Other one was spot hidden.
All right. That's a great skill to advance. Look at you getting all these high rolls out of there. That's good.
Get them done with. Get them done with.
That's right. And a D10 for that. A 6. Very nice. So we'll up your spot hidden. So going around clockwise, we go to our friend, the youngest character, I believe, Chip, our illicit booze runner.
Yep.
So, Jesse, what did Chip succeed at in the first 2?
He succeeded on everything that had to do with that spider and nothing else. So he had a brawl, a dodge, and a spot hidden.
Okay, which one are we doing first, and what do you have in it?
We'll go dodge. I got a 32.
All right. This is another good skill to improve. All right, let's give it a D10. All right, let's up that dodge by 3.
All right. I got brawl, and I got a 35 in this. Nope.
Of course. All right, and the last but not least?
Spot hidden, I got a 55.
Oh, your skills are too good, Chip.
Yeah.
Your skills are too good. All right, so Vaco, who is had some very interesting interactions in the first 2 episodes. Klaus, what did Vaco succeed at in the first 2 episodes?
Well, he succeeded in bulldozing his way into a house, so he got brawl, and then he was very, very perceptive, except when it had to do with dead kids. So he succeeded at spot hidden.
All right, so which one do you want to do first?
Well, brawl is lower, so
Do
get
that.
chances first. Now let's see. I have 25 in it, so
Very nice. And then just give me a D10 to see how far you
Sure.
advance it.
whoa, 9.
Very nice.
Very effective
Very
brawling.
nice. Yeah, so let's up that by 9.
Yeah.
And then your spot hidden will be next.
Let's up that by 9. Let's roll that spot hidden before I start changing stuff around. My spot hidden disappeared. There it is. With 55, an 8 does not cut it.
All right, so we'll just advance the brawl then.
Yeah.
All right. So the episode starts with a black screen. Slowly fades in to start the episode, and we see the outside of a diner. And in true 1920s fashion, it's a freestanding diner with windows wrapping around the entire building. Inside, we can see the lights are on because it's close to sunset. At the very top of the diner, we see kind of blinking in neon, which probably needs a little bit of attention because you can't see all of it at once. Just blinking on and off various letters. We're at Connell's Diner. And below in letters, we can see Newton, Massachusetts. We then crossfade into the interior of the diner. It's not very crowded. There's maybe 20 tables, all booths in this diner. We've got an older but likely vivacious woman who is apparently keeping everybody happy with coffee. And in the very back booth, we can see Ashanti. And as the camera moves closer to Ashanti, we realize he's in the booth by himself. They're high-backed chairs. Looks like has some coffee. And as he goes up to sip his coffee, we can still see that he has not taken off his medical bracelet, the identification that was given to him while he was in the hospital for the past 5 weeks. We then cut to the door. And walking into the door from the outside, that's gotten a little cold in the last 5 weeks, we see Siobhan.
Siobhan kind of hers of it. She's got like kind of tucked under her arm like a series of like sketchbooks and like notebooks, and as she slides into the booth, like just kind of drops onto the table. So, how's the Sprague?
Sprague?
Kid.
Oh. The kid is fine. the kid is fine. The kid and the wife are in Allentown, Pennsylvania right now. I sent them away. It's a little dangerous around here. I'm a little paranoid. I don't know what's going on, but I don't want my family to be safe.
Well, good you got him out. I did kind of want to ask about that because to my mind it seems like it would have been far easier for you to just, head off. You're not exactly tied to this, but I was kind of worried when you were like, oh, make sure nothing happens before I finally return. It just kind of seems a bit weird.
I had a lot of time in the hospital to think this over. And my daddy always told me, don't leave until the job is done. And our job isn't done.
So as Ashanti and Siobhan are having that conversation, we see Vaco also come into the diner. So it appears that we are in the midst of a reunion. It's not just Siobhan and Ashanti meeting, but Vaco has entered as well.
Looking. look each way, wave to Shanti, look who's in the other booths, walk over. Good to see you up and about again.
I'm happy to be up and about again. It's been a few weeks. Still a little sore, but good. It's good to see you guys again. Good to see you.
You look like you still need some medicine. He takes his little flask out of his pocket and pours a little into the coffee.
I've definitely
Thank
missed losing money. So
So last but not least, our friend Chip enters.
Yeah, Chip looks tired. He's got his little cap on, and kind of comes in and just looks weary. Comes and joins them. Kind of puts his hand on Ashanti's back, gives him a nod, and takes a seat in the open spot next to the other three, and give him that sort of somber, yeah, we're all here.
And I remark, hell, you look as bad as I feel. Doing okay?
It's been some sleepless nights. I'm just trying to figure this out. It's been rough.
Well, that's pretty much why I asked everyone to join us today. I feel as though we need to get to the bottom of what happened a few weeks ago, and we need to pool our resources, pool our time, and figure this out. Because I don't think it's just going to stop with what happened that night. There's something bigger going on, and we're
He
the only
clearly
ones.
threatened all of us. Oh, well, me at least.
Yeah.
I found some produce on my table when I got home. Like a big crate filled with tomatoes, same kind that Aunt Sarah got. And I have no idea how he knows where I live. I have no idea how he even knows who I am. I didn't even give my real name.
What about you guys? You guys find anything?
Yeah, that was one of the things that was making it so hard. Is I found that remember that flower pot that we knocked over, and that was all smashed still on my stand as you walk into the apartment. It's the same one. Yeah.
yeah, implicit or not, he basically threatened Ansar.
Okay.
Me, I suppose, but one of those is a touch more concerning.
Here's the thing, guys. I want to go after this guy. I can do it alone, or we can do it together. And I wouldn't hold you up if you don't feel as though you're up to the task. Hell, I don't even think I'm up for the task. But in my heart, I feel as though this needs to be done. Especially after what he did to not only me, but to threaten the rest of you. And I just rubbed my area where I was hurt at.
I take out some more and pour a little bit more medicine in his.
No idea
I'm
what-
Go ahead.
Sorry, I think we're all jumping at the all for one and etc. I don't know what help I can be. I'm not exactly suited for that sort of thing, but it's in my neighborhood and right out my door, and I'll do whatever I can.
Right now, we need information. We're not running in and trying to save dismembered kid bodies right now. We're just trying to gather information about Mr. Corbett and who he is, what he does, because the things Chip and I experienced. Never in my life. Never heard of anything, seen anything. I've been looking things up in the library, having books brought to me while I was in the hospital, and nothing. this is beyond our realm. When I say our realm, I mean our realm.
Side note: if you two ever really want to like dig in and exactly what you experienced, there's a listening ear.
Siobhan, we don't have time for your artistic fancies right now.
After big celebration of hey, we defeated the villain, etc., like just
One day
more
when it's
concerning things.
appropriate.
I have to say, like, the only reason why I haven't sent some of my compatriots to either torch the house or blow it up is firstly because Siobhan lives on the opposite side of the street, and secondly because you Ashanti didn't want me to do anything yet, but that doesn't mean I haven't been digging.
That could be our last resort, and I think we just need to pull any information, big or small, pull it together, figure out who this guy is, and see what we can do with it. Because we saw me and Chip going over there, and I don't know what those plants were. I don't know where it sent us. It felt like a dream, but as you can tell, it was not a dream.
I still have to ask, Chip, are you sure you didn't stab him?
I didn't have anything in my hands to stab. Yeah, it was a freaking giant spider. It was, we were sitting on floating, I don't know, rocks. It was no.
I just felt I had to ask this at this point when you are both at your right mind and not in the heat of the moment, just to check for once. But as said,
And just to sort of,
I've done some digging.
as a quick aside, 1 second, Vega, I'm sorry. As a quick aside, Ashanti, the best the doctors could figure, as they worked on your wound and things, is they felt like you had been stabbed by kind of like a spear or a stake or something along those lines. I don't know what story we gave the doctors, but that's basically what the doctors treated it as, is you got stabbed by like a rod or something along those lines.
I believe it was an elaborate glass statue from the story that we came up with.
Perfect. Keep it nice and simple,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, some elaborate glass statue I knocked over.
But I interrupted you, Veka.
Yes. When doing my digging, I found that I've just found him mentioned twice in the press, both from about 12 years ago. Apparently, he lost his wife and child in childbirth, and the nurse who was the wife's sort of sit-in nurse, who then ended up delivering the child, was found passed out, and she ended up in a sanitarium.
Oh, so what was wrong with the childbirth that he lost both the wife and the
Yeah, no one knows.
child?
He came home and he found them dead, and the nurse, he found her unconscious.
Okay.
Something doesn't add up.
All
Yeah.
I know him as is Mr. Corbett. Did we get a name from? It sounds like a lot of people have been digging.
Mr. Bernard Corbett.
Right. So yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Did you say Bernard?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
I'm whipping out a little notepad to write this down as well. Yes.
You remember a guy named Randolph?
Randolph.
Was he might have helped you while you were in the hospital or something?
Not particularly.
Yeah,
My time in the hospital was kind of vague in the first couple of weeks.
he was an orderly there.
Randolph.
I talked to the one of my buddies, and I kind of look around and say softly, Larry Zanino. He's in the family, and he kind of looked he looked in at Corbett, and he was meeting with this guy Randolph, and he works at the hospital that you were in. Met with him a couple times, and this after I found that, I went back to my school and was in the library looking up stuff and seeing if I could find anything about this Randolph guy or who he was and stuff. And there was an article about a couple weeks ago that he was connected with all these like abductions of animals and dogs, and like a lot. He was cleared, but like the dogs were found like maimed and just all, I don't know. It's weird, and it doesn't seem like a coincidence that this guy's talking with Corbett. Corbett knows about us. He's in the same hospital as you are. It's too much of a coincidence.
So, what do we know about Corbett so far? Like the man himself, we know that he lost his wife and child in childbirth, supposedly.
Lost his dad in a hiking accident in India.
Lost his dad in a hiking accident. Okay.
Accident, body wasn't found. All the usual sort of like confluence of things that are like extremely regular and above board until you hear that, discovered a nurse, discovered wife and child.
When
is family business of important goods, and apparently he was kind of set to inherit everything. And
so was Corbett with his father during the hiking accident?
Yes, they were attacked allegedly. I feel like it's necessary to put this caveat in now, by bandits, and the old man slipped, fell. No one could find the body. Apparently, the story was wild dogs, and
When did this happen?
Well, it happened, as I looked through my notes, about 14 years ago. Thank you, Craig, for putting a big thing at the bottom that says dated 14 years ago.
So 14 years ago, he loses his father. 2 years after that, he loses his wife and child. Okay. So, and he's always present when these people. He was present when these people were lost, allegedly lost.
Well, he wasn't present when his wife and child died. He was just
he found
them.
Yeah.
Air quotes.
We have to see who else Corbett associates with besides this Randolph. Is there anyone else that he associates with?
I think we should try and find the nurse.
Randolph?
No, the one that delivered.
Yeah.
Her name is apparently Dunlap.
Dunlap.
Yeah.
Nurse Dunlap. And what do we know what sanitarium she's in?
Oh. But it's a sanitarium in Arkham. That's all I know.
Oh.
And so just as a little bit of background, Arkham, of course, is a made-up location in Lovecraft Country, but it's considered kind of a larger suburb of Boston, just outside of Boston. All of you have been there before, but I think it's one or most of you know that there is a very large sanitarium, the Arkham Sanitarium that's there, and it's probably the only one. So I think as far as knowing where it is, that's a non-issue. And of course, Klaus has got her name,
Okay.
so that's definitely one avenue.
All right.
Also, at least at the time of writing the articles 12 years ago, Mr. Corbett's wife's parents were still alive because they are mentioned in it. So
Okay.
also going and questioning them could be a thing to do if we can find out where they live. I have their
Okay.
names.
And what are their names?
Their names are let's see, Edward and Shirley Myers.
Okay.
Mr. Corbett's wife's name was Lynn Ann Myers. Died at the young age of 22.
If we're looking for people associated that are potentially still alive, it's his mom. I didn't find anything that said Corbett's mom was passed. That's an Elaine Corbett. Might also be something to look into.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. You said there were 2 articles he was in?
Yes,
Or
one
just-
was the obituary for his wife, and the second one was about the nurse Mona Dunlap, who was hospitalized after the incident.
Okay. All right. So I
Also,
think
this article mentions that Mr. Corbett has an office, so we could think about that too.
I don't think we want to approach him head on right now.
No,
I
I'm
know,
more
I know.
about going there covertly.
Okay. I'm thinking we can split up. Um, Me and Chip can start at the sanitarium, and you and Saban can probably meet up with try to find the in-laws and speak with them. Because
I think we should stick together because we could have different angles on what we're asking, and also if a young criminal and a boxer comes asking for or a woman at a sanitarium, it could be considered a little bit weird.
We also
I
need
like
to
the way
think
you
about.
think.
We also need to think about the
Outstanding.
angle we're going to
Yeah,
approach
please
this
do that.
from.
Yeah.
Also, how many cars do we have so we can?
I'm going to assume each of you, except Siobhan, has a car. Siobhan is the only one who has not been able to afford her own car.
I don't have a car. That's bourgeois.
Oh, okay. So we have just Ashanti and Chip with vehicles, and then. But if anybody has any questions about the bus schedule, we've got Siobhan and Megan.
So okay, you're correct. We should stick together, but I still think we should go see the nurse first.
I agree because we pretty much know where she is. Everyone else would require more research, and if we
she's
get
still
what we
there.
need from the nurse, this is true. But I do assume she is still there. People don't really get let out of sanitariums, especially the type that Arkham is very
12 years ago,
easily.
could be.
She could be dead, of course.
So it's about 7:00 at night, for those of you that are hungry, I would let's have you, order some food, here at the diner as you guys are having this conversation, the four of you. What is the game plan? What are we going to decide to do, and are we going to decide to do it tonight?
I think we should wait until the morning. We might maybe could drive out to Arkham already tonight, but I have some friends in the area that probably could house us covertly. But I think it's better to do this in daylight rather than try to go to a sanitarium and ask for someone in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Also, does anyone have any idea where the produce for this diner comes from?
You have no idea how many creative lies I've had to tell to not eat vegetables. It's getting
How
to a
far
point.
are we away from the hospital that Ashanti was in?
Yeah, from the hospital, you're only about 15-20 minutes from the hospital in Newton, which is where Ashanti was. It's about a 45-minute drive from Newton to Arkham. So you're about 45 minutes away from the sanitarium.
Do we want to check on this Randolph guy?
I think we should find out more before we try strong-arming this Randolph guy, so that we know what to ask. Because just going there and asking random questions won't benefit us as much as asking informed questions.
So how are we going to speak to the nurse? Are we going to send Saban there as a relative? Because I'm not a relative.
I think
you
one
sure?
being a relative is probably the best way.
Mm-hmm. Or we could have Siobhan coming to give the patients art therapy. And we're just the guys who carry her stuff.
Yeah.
Doing a piece about the people in Arkham.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to smash cut. And we smash cut. And as we come up to it, we see Ashanti's car pulling up to the sanitarium. And to describe this, it is, and of course, a little lettering on the next day. It says at the bottom. The sanitarium in Arkham is large. It's a large concrete building. It is in no way tries to be anything fancy or anything welcoming at all. There's a 15-foot stone wall that's completely surrounds the sanitarium. There's a gate which isn't vetted, so you had no trouble getting in the gate. You were let through once it was apparent that you weren't a patient trying to leave. And you pull up to a little bit of a roundabout, and then there's parking off of the roundabout with marked as guest parking. And looking at the sanitarium, you can tell that whatever money is being made there is not being put back into the facility. The outside of it is old. It is, falling to pieces as best as you can. There's a few stone statues that are, decor in kind of the garden area above that in front, that which you can imagine maybe 50 years ago was some sort of landscaping effort that has long been abandoned. There are vines that crawl up and cover a good bit of the front of the sanitarium. When we see the four of you step out, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Chip just kind of shakes his head and says, "Kill me before you put me in here." Just kind of looking at it and hoping that nothing like that is gonna befall him, but doesn't like the look of it.
I probably during the night at my home with my printing presses made a nice little pamphlet that talks about how we wonderfully volunteer to give art therapy to sanitarium patients. Nice and official looking.
Who drove? I'm assuming I drove.
I had you driving.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna put the handgun I've been carrying into the glove compartment, just so I don't think they'll allow me in there. But I have been carrying this gun. I've been sleeping with it in the hospital as well after
Yeah.
what happened. All right, folks. Savon.
I probably look up at the sanitarium and just go Jumalauta and take a little sippy sip.
Siobhan, who is dressed like the cleanest you have seen her to really sell this, like very minimal paint splotches on the sleeves of the shirts and all of that. Okay.
You can do this. We all can do this.
Yeah.
We had it in?
Yes.
So nobody greets you at the door. The door is open. It's a large double door. It's about 10 foot high. Again, not decorative at all, just functional. You open the door and it comes into a lobby. I assume at some point the carpets were cleaned, but it wasn't in this decade. At some point, you would expect that they would have fixed some of this furniture, but they haven't. There's magazines, but a quick glance at the magazines, you can see that the ones at least on the top are at least 8-9 years old. Behind a glass, on the far across from the entrance, you can see kind of a reception area. It is closed and separate from the lobby itself. And you see the top of what appears to be a woman's head by the little nurse hat that you can see. You can't see her face, but she's got very, very thick and relatively unkept gray hair.
Well, I walk up to her and say, "Hello, we're the volunteer art therapists."
But 1 minute. And you can see she's working on a crossword. I need a 5-letter word for simple.
Idiot.
That's it. Okay, I'm sorry. Who are you here to see?
We're an art therapy group that volunteers at sanitariums.
Do you have an appointment with one of the doctors? I don't. And you look at the desk and it is just papers everywhere. You see stacks of folders. There's an in basket and an out basket. Everything's in the in basket. You look behind and there's files that are drawers that have been opened, and who knows what the hell's going on in this reception office.
While when she looks away, I'll slip the pamphlet into her in basket.
So there's like a little window, right? Like at a bank teller, right? There's a little window, and I've got to find. I'm sure I can find this. I'm sure. And she turns her back and she's looking, and we see Vaco just slide the pamphlet into the in basket. She goes, "I don't have anything. I'll find it. Just 1 second. So you have are you here to see somebody? I don't understand."
Well, no, not really. We are here to just give patients a nice day of art and relaxation. And I don't know. I have a horrible memory for names, but it was a newer doctor said that this was some new thing that would help the patients.
I think I need a roll, Vaco.
Yeah.
This is good, but I still need a roll. So what are we going to use here?
How about my persuade?
I like that. Let's use persuade. And this, we just need a regular success.
A regular success.
In fact, I'm going to give it to you with advantage.
Oh, I already rolled, but it's a success anyway.
Beautiful. Oh, one of the newer doctors from county. Yes, Dr. Smith. He's not here right now. And quite, I don't know, like, I don't have budget for this. They don't give me anything. I would not be able to pay you. Have you already made arrangements?
We're volunteers. We do not. not take payment. We do this for the benefit of the patient. Here's
seems
a
like
pamphlet.
terrible business.
It's community service.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
that makes
community
sense.
Yeah.
service.
That makes a lot more sense. Okay. I think it's wonderful that you are paying back to the community for whatever it was. I'm sure that you were, jaywalking or something. I think that's wonderful that
I
you're
whispered
doing
to
that.
her, yeah, you don't want to know what they did.
They both seem nice. All right. So what I don't know how this works. We've never done this before. We've never done any therapies whatsoever for any of our patients. So where do we go? What do we do?
I think I don't remember which floor he said it was, but Dr. Smith said it was Miss Dunlap would probably be a great one of our first students.
Miss Dunlap. Okay. That's with a D?
I believe so. I remember that name. I'm sure it was whatever floor that she was on or whatever wing. We're still learning all this anyways.
Okay, give me a second. I've got this all figured. I've got it all organized. I'll be right
I know
back.
you do.
So you see her turn around, you see her go, and from where you are, you can see, clear labels of letters on each of these files, right? And she pulls out the D, and you see her flipping through, and this is not supposed to be here. This is not right. That doesn't start with a B. I'll have it. One moment. And she flips through. A good 15 minutes go by. She finds it in the S's for whatever reason. And she pulls the folder out and she goes, Dunlap with a D. It should have been over here. I don't know how it ended up here. We have somebody new here, and she does a terrible job with the files. Of course, obviously I keep everything very organized. Dunlap, and she pulls the folder out and she goes, I can't show this to you. I hope you understand that for patient. Okay. And what floor she's? Oh, well. Okay. So she was Dr. Thompson's patient. I could see that Dr. Thompson worked with her, but there must have been some confusion because she passed about 4 years ago. When's the last time you talked to Dr. Smith?
Oh, it was yesterday, I think, on the phone.
Okay. That's really strange that he would have recommended her because she's not oh God. She may not be receptive to the therapy.
I'm gonna fade into the background like the Homer Simpson into the hedges. Like
what happened? What happened to her?
But you know what? It's not in here. Dr. Thompson, they wouldn't keep up front. There's no patient notes or anything. Just when she was admitted, and when she was discharged, I guess you could say. Now, Dr. Thompson's here if you'd like to talk to him, but like I said, Dr. Smith isn't, so I'm not quite sure what the confusion is.
Maybe we should talk to Dr. Thompson and see if maybe Dr. Smith talked to him about this and got confused or something.
So, yeah, I'll get Dr. Thompson. I would not mention Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith is a bit of a fancy pants, new way of doing things, young guy right out of college. Dr. Thompson doesn't believe in any of these things that he's doing, and be a little delicate, I think, about mentioning, therapies and things like that. It's not really his approach. But yes, I will get Dr. Thompson. If you don't mind, just sitting over there, don't sit on that chair. I don't think it'll hold you, but if you sit on that couch, don't mind the stain. I just wouldn't sit on it. But I will go get Dr. Thompson.
Before you go,
I mutter something about I hope we are not in some altercation between two doctors again, and just as a joke.
What were you gonna say, Chip?
I was gonna say, what room was Miss Dunlap in before she was discharged? Just in case it's that floor that he wants us to work on.
You're a very smart boy. Very smart boy. One moment. She pulls away. She goes, She was in the East Wing, on the second floor, room 244, 243. That's a 3, 243. All right, I'm going to go get Dr. Thompson, and I'll be right back. So she kind of goes into a door that led into the office that you can see through this, this window. 10 or so minutes probably before she brings it back. Is there anything we want to do before Dr. Thompson shows up?
Not sit.
Definitely not sit.
Sorry, Chris.
Okay.
It's okay.
So what are we going to ask the doctor? Like, I was not prepared to actually talk to the doctor. I was preparing for an insane person. I didn't prepare for an actual person that can.
I think we might still run into an insane person. It's an Bacterium doctor. At the moment, is it? Can we get somewhere, or is it like barred passage, or could, for example, Chip sneak away if he wanted to?
There is one door. There's no window on the door. And it's not marked or anything, but it's like the only door, right? Except for the door you came in on. And if any of you kind of go up there, you can you realize that there's no doorknob. There's no way to open the door. It appears that that's a door that must be open from the other side. And you just a quick look, Chip, you look down the seam of the doors where the two double doors meet, and you can see that there's some sort of lock that on the door.
What about, can we get into the room where the nurse was?
So you'd have to break through the window, right? Because there's no door to her office. There was only the door in the back of her office that led into the sanitarium.
Knowing how organized she is, did she happen to accidentally leave the file so that I can yank it through the window?
That's what I was going to ask. Did she leave the file on the desk?
I need a luck roll. I like this. Who's got the best luck? Let's have that person do the luck roll.
I have bad luck.
I got a 60.
I can't even find the luck on mine. That might be 0.
Under the skills.
I got a 15.
Yeah, you spent some of the luck last episode.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Siobhan with a 60 might be the rabbit's foot here in the group. So let's see if Siobhan is lucky enough with her slender arms, if she could kind of slide her hand through the small little window where you're supposed to pass information.
Oh,
good Lord. That's an extreme success. So I'm envisioning Vaco, the one that kind of notices, like, she just left it right there. And he kind of starts to put his hand through there, and he can barely get past his wrist, right? And it just immediately his hand doesn't fit. And I'm imagining Vaco, you kind of look over and you kind of look at Siobhan, look at her wrist, and look at Siobhan.
Oh, right. You might as well do something while I'm here.
So you reach in, Siobhan, and you have no trouble getting past your elbow. You're able to reach down to her desk, and you're able to grab Nurse Dunlap's folder. But for an extreme success, I think for whatever reason, Dr. Thompson, a file marked Dr. Thompson, Dr. Steve Thompson, is right under it.
Well, that's also coming.
So
you pull both folders.
Do we stick around, guys, or do we just like tail out of here?
No,
Well,
we won't get a chance again. So just stick it in one of the art bags.
Yeah,
stick it in one of the art bags.
Gonna slip it into a canvas thing. Do you want to take a quick look, because there might be something in the Thompson file that gives us a reason to actually be talking to him.
Yeah, quickly, but do it like not with your back towards the door where he might come out.
I'll stand behind Ashante.
So Siobhan, in kind of a Scooby-Doo maneuver, is kind of like trying to position herself between so Ashanti's blocking any view from the
And
door.
I'll stand next to him. So then we have two really big guys standing there, and Siobhan kind of hiding behind.
Siobhan, you stuff the Dunlap Dunlap folder into your bag, and you quickly, and it's a thick file that you pulled for Dr. Thompson, and you pull it open. You can immediately see that, based on his birth date, Dr. Thompson's might look like he'd be in his 80s.
Oh.
You can see his application. You can see that he lists several colleges on there. Oddly, like it's 2 years at this one, 6 months at this one, and then finally, his full residency is, about 6 colleges down. You see, flip through, you see reprimands. You see that there have been charges made against Dr. Thompson several times. None of them ever led to any types of convictions. You see that he has been the center witness in a few lawsuits against the sanitarium as well. And that's kind of like the quick flip through. That's what you pick up from Dr. Thompson's file. You hear the click, click, and you see the double doors kind of opening. Our very helpful crossword ninja nurse says, so, Dr. Thompson, these are the 4th people that Mr. Smith asked. I don't know what's going on, but yes, this is it. So this Dr. Thompson walks in and looks exactly the age that you expected, Siobhan. He looks 80. Hasn't seen a razor in a while, but he is not growing a beard. He is just obviously very unshaven. He's got the white coat. Probably would have been nice if it was at least ironed, let alone washed. You can see there's some darker stains on it. Apparently he ate something with mustard in the last week or so, because you can see that dripping, stained on the front of the coat. He's got clipboards. A single clipboard with a bunch of stack of papers in it, and he's kind of looking down at it. He looks up and he goes, "What's this all about?"
Well, I walk up to him and shake his hand and say, "Dr. Thompson, we were called here by a Dr. Smith."
"What's he done now?"
"Oh, he wanted us to look in on some patients on what floor was it? Was it the 2nd floor?
East Wing.
I remember
East Wing, 2nd floor.
Yeah. It's a new therapy he prescribed."
"Do you give patients a massage? What kind of therapy?"
We're just visiting with them. We're doing community service.
We're doing community service. We're scouting for patients that would be susceptible to electroshock.
"You're familiar with electric shock. That's interesting. Have you ever watched it?"
Why, of course I have, and I strongly believe in its restorative ways.
I do too. People are skeptical about it, and I think that they're wrong. And he kind of leans in a little bit. Vaco whispers, he goes, "Did you ever try it like a little bit higher and you don't put the thing in their mouth? Did you ever watch what happens?"
Well, I never did it.
They'll bite their tongue clean off. Like it just happens.
Yeah, I never did it intentionally.
Oh, no, of course not. And he kind of nudges you like, "I like you."
With the change in tact and all the equipment that Siobhan has brought in, she just kind of states "Well, we're sort of looking to illustrate a pamphlet, a sort of article, bestowing the values of it, and we'd love a quote. We'd love a look around. Again, floors are mentioned, but just conversation and that sort of thing. Maybe show us around."
I have to say, when she mentioned Dr. Smith, I wasn't anticipating this was what it was about. I thought it'd be some sort of new fancy fangle college thing, but this is definitely sounds a lot more interesting. Now, which one is the electrician?
What's the bake-up?
As said, we're not
Makeup.
at the moment giving the therapies. We're looking at what patients would be fitting for this treatment.
Okay, but just so you know, they told me to destroy the machine, but it's in the basement. So if you wanna try something, you know, just let me know and we can lock some doors. And I can show you some
I
really
would very
crazy
much like
stuff.
to see this machine.
You just let me know. All right. So look, I've got a bunch of stuff I got to get done. You all seem like fine people. I myself have done community service, so I appreciate what's happening. All I ask is you know, don't mess anything up. The file rooms for the patients, obviously I prefer if you not go there, but if you need me, my office is in the west wing, at the very end of the hall on the first floor. Just come by, and if we want to get the machine out, it would take me a little while. I'll get one of the orderlies and we can do that if that is something that you'd like to do.
I think it would be very nice if I could take a little unofficial gander at your file room to see which patient would benefit from not from accidentally forgetting to put the thing in his mouth.
So me giving access to the patient records is a bit of a sensitive subject for me here at the hospital. I think should be public knowledge what people do and do to themselves and the things they say. But boy, I don't know. We're gonna need another roll.
Persuasion.
I'm not sure. What are we gonna try to persuade again, Vaco?
Oh yes, I like trying to persuade people.
Regular
roll?
difficulty, and with the connection on the electrocution therapy, let's go ahead and do that with advantage.
So how was this? You get +1.
What it'll do is there should be a either a checkbox or something when you go to the roller. When you click on persuasion, should bring up an option for an advantage die or a bonus die. I can't remember what
bonus die. Yeah, I
bonus
got that.
die. Yeah, and in the system, what that does is for the 10s in the percentile, you roll 2 of them at the same time and take the better of the 2.
All righty. Well, it is a regular success.
At a regular success at a 41. What did you say your name was again?
Oh, my name is Karle Johansson.
You ain't from around here? Carl. Okay,
yes, Carl. Yes. My
So-
parents weren't from around here. Back in the
Look,
day, you know, they came, like all of us at one point came to this country.
I really don't care.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Carl. I'm gonna be at my office, West Wing, first floor. The patient records are in the East Wing on the first floor. You should not go there, even though we don't lock the door.
Oh yes, of course. And I'll not go there if you say you shouldn't go there.
And if you don't go there, I would keep your visit short. It'd be good if none of the orderlies or anybody else didn't see you not go there.
Of course.
And he turns to the nurse. He goes, they're gonna walk around. They're gonna talk to patients and whatnot. And they're fine. They're guests of mine. Just do me a favor. If Dr. Smith shows up, if you buzz me in my office before we let him in, that would be good. Of course. And she kind of goes back into his office and let me know if you want to see the machine.
Yep.
All right, guys, let's make this quick.
I hate it here.
I feel dirty already, and it's not because of the seats. Yeah.
Do you want to check out her room first, or
No records first.
Records.
But like, we shouldn't all go into records. That would be suspicious. I need you guys to like keep up the front while I go into records.
All right.
All right. So you guys navigate your way through this place, and it seems like the farther you get in, the more depressing this place seems to get. Shockingly, it appears that they've been trying to make the place look better based on the lobby, right? There are bedpans outside of rooms that have not been cleared. There is stains of various bodily fluids on some of the windows on the insides of some of these patients' rooms as you're going. There are patients that are wandering that probably shouldn't be wandering and probably should be getting a lot more attention. It not funny, really, right? It's not a joke. It's really like, Jesus, like, this is not okay. But you guys navigate yourself, and you find the records room, and as Dr. Thompson mentioned, Vaco, you hit the knob there, and it is unlocked. What is expected at this point, maybe, is the fact we have not seen a nurse, we've not seen an orderly. There's no staff in any way has been visible, let alone come across you as you've made your journey here.
Yeah, that's what I kind of expected. I do check twice before I go in, though.
So you go in, and Vaco, it's made up of, it's a rather large room, multiple aisles of metal shelving with just cardboard boxes, some of them large cardboard boxes like that you would like a file folder cardboard box. Some of them are smaller, some of them are stacks of folders. Do you have what is your library skill?
Not very good. Library use 20.
All right, let's give that a roll real quick, and let's get a sense of how long this is going to take. I assume we're looking for Miss Dunlap's file.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's something. No. All right, let's roll them.
Let's see if you can do a natural world this like Sean.
Not quite.
Not quite. So, Vaco, you start in the process and very quickly realize that, much like the reception area, the amount of attention to organizing, let alone securing these records, hasn't been there. So it's going to take you about 30 minutes for you to kind of figure out what sort of organization system that's happening there. Outside, we've got Siobhan, Ashanti, and Chip kind of keeping look.
I'm going to ask one of them to come in about 25 minutes to like relieve me, and then I'll go talk to him about his machine and distract him a little bit more.
Okay. So let's have you, Vaco, in there for about 15 minutes. Long enough that the three of you maybe are kind of looking in the window. Maybe at some point we go, you okay in there? You know, just like it's a little uncomfortable, right? How long this is obviously taken. And about 15 minutes into this, the three of you there, pretty heavy set, large man, probably in his early 20s. You see him coming down the hallway. He's got a trolley, kind of a hand cart type thing, and it is filled with multiple shelves of paper cups, small little paper cups. And he's pushing it down the hallway, and he goes, "You guys aren't supposed to be here. Who are you? And why are you at the records room?"
We're guests of Dr. Thompson. If you would like, you could certainly take it up with him.
Did Dr. Thompson say you could go in? Have you been in the records room?
No. We're just waiting.
No.
Because he already got a warning about this. And Dr. Smith made it very clear to me that if I see Thompson near that records room, that I'm supposed to let Smith know.
Good thing he's not in there. He's meeting with someone and said, meet us at this weird intersection that we're now stood at. Look, we're not medical professionals, kind of gesturing at all the supplies. It's a lot even for us. So we're not going to be in anyone's way.
Oh, boy, I don't know. I think the GM is going to need you to roll.
I mean, that seems fair, like a curious flex, but very well.
Let's I think like a fast talk maybe.
Could it be persuade?
I don't think I like persuade here.
Okay,
I think there's a
cool.
whole lot of lying going on.
Then this is a terrible idea.
You've been rolling hot so far. Just keep it up.
Jaznaz, not yet. Not yet.
Let's see if we can get 5%.
All right. So 58, regular difficulty against your 5%. The fast talk is not your thing.
Yeah.
It's extremely awkward as we watch Siobhan trying to.
It's a lot of being resigned to the fact that we're just kind of talking, and like the resignation of we don't want to be in anyone's way is like, please just leave. It's not. It's yeah.
Yeah, so I'd get in a lot of trouble. Let's do this. If you can just follow me, I'm gonna take you back to the reception area. I'll track down Dr. Thompson. I think I'm supposed to call Dr. Smith first though. So if the three of you can just follow me, I need to take you back to reception.
We
But
should
Dr.
not.
Smith is part of the reason why we're here. We're working on a pamphlet for talking about this place, trying to rehab the image. It seems like Dr. Smith is really trying to turn things around after Dr. Thompson has his episodes.
Well put. Yes, I think Dr. Smith is, in my opinion, is the only qualified doctor that has been here for a very long time. It's a low bar, but Dr. Smith has well exceeded it. I just not saying any of you are lying or anything. And unfortunately, with the whole Dr. Thompson stuff, I just would feel better if you followed me. I want to take you back to reception, make a couple phone calls. I'm sure everything is fine. I'm sure everything is straight. Let me get you to the reception. I'm going to finish my my tour and get everybody their meds, and then I'll call Dr. Smith. We'll get Dr. Tom. We'll get everybody in reception. We'll get this all figured out, and I'm sure everything's straight.
Is there a bathroom around here?
Yes, there's a bathroom now. I would recommend using the one on the West Wing, the ones the doctors uses.
I don't think I'm able to I won't be able to make it there. I need to go right now. Go right now. With
okay.
One to right here. I need to go.
Okay, but I warned you.
Gotta go.
Okay, all right. So yeah, go down the hall. Go down the hall. Take a left. Just right off of the left. Do you have a handkerchief or something to cover your mouth with?
I'll use my shirt. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. Just go. Just go.
And what I want to do is wait till he takes them back, and then I'll go back into the records room and look for the file.
So we see Ashanti turn the corner as directed by our orderly. Ashanti, are you actually going into this nightmare of a bathroom, or what are you doing?
I'm going to go around the corner out of the view and try to listen and wait for the orderly to take them back to the front.
I'm not sure how long he's going to take.
He knows the way back there. We were just at reception, talking with your lovely receptionist.
She's a piece of work. Okay, let's do this. I'll take you guys back to reception. I'll come back and get your friend. And like I said, we'll get this all straightened out with a couple phone calls. Come with me.
Of course.
So Chip and Siobhan follow this orderly who without a doubt the most competent human being we've seen so far in your visit to the Arkham Sanitarium. Takes you back to reception.
I want to say just
There's
to maybe elongate the trek.
Yeah.
Siobhan is like is asking very earnest questions, knowing that there's like a competent person and b like someone who actually cares. so it's like engaging him with all the things that does just to like in this terrible and bleak situation that we find ourselves in. Hey, maybe there is hope.
So you find out that he interned here. He is very embarrassed about the state of things. And you know, he is of the mindset that places like this shouldn't exist. He feels that there is now, you know, things that doctors can do to handle and treat people that need help. And he seems very, very ahead of things. And maybe that's, you know, fresh out of college, who knows? But he appreciates, you know, the fact that you seemed concerned, right? And that you seem not happy with the situation either. So there's a little bit of a connection that happens there, Siobhan. I think it covers up the fact that he knew you were bullshitting him. But he takes you back to the reception area, and our receptionist seems to take umbrage with this. And though you don't hear it, you can see that she stalks right out of her office, and you muffled, but you can't hear. But there's voices being raised between the two of them about this whole thing. And she comes back around as the two of you are there, and she's, you know, still behind the glass in her office, and she goes, "I am so sorry about this. This is he thinks that he runs this place. He's been here for 6 months. He thinks he knows how to do things better, even though I have been here for 35 years. And he just thinks he has the whole run of the place like he's a doctor. And I apologize."
It's all right. It's all right.
With just the three of us, we accept your apology. Wink.
You're a wonderful young lady. Thank you very much. And I think I have some butterscotches. Let me go find them real quick, and I'll be right back. So she starts rummaging through, you know, her office. We cut back to Ashanti. Ashanti, you see them pass. They don't see you.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go into the records room and try to find Miss Dunlap's records. Excuse me.
So you come in, and what condition do we find Vaco in after 15-20 minutes in this wonderfully organized records room?
Probably like staring wide-eyed at some file and scratching his head and wondering stuff like, why on earth is there a National Geographic in here? And why is it filed under P?
So with Ashanti's help, it takes about another 10 or 15 minutes. And I don't know whether it's just sheer luck or if somehow you found a method to the madness, but you do find a folio, not a box, but a folio on Nurse Dunlap.
Okay. Put it in the bag.
It is in the bag.
I'm gonna. I think Ashanti. I think I should go talk to Dr. Thompson about his electric machine and see if I can get it disabled.
I think you should as well.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna try to find out if there is any place they would be keeping, like, her personal effects, if her family would come and pick it up at the same time.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
So do we have Ashanti then going back to reception?
Yes.
I think Ashanti
And-
Ashanti should go check out the room where Nurse Dunlap was kept to see if it's occupied and stuff like this.
True. Room. Yep.
Yeah.
That's on the second floor, so I will wander.
Yep, one floor up.
I'll wander around the 243 on the east wing. We are currently on the east wing right now as well.
Yep.
So I just gotta go
Yep.
up a floor.
up the stairwell. It doesn't take very long. So the camera follows you, Ashanti. We stay with you as you go through that journey. You go through the hallway. You quickly find the room itself. Peering into the window, you see an older gentleman, and he's on a cot is probably the kindest way to put it. It's like a metal cot. There's no sheets, no covering on the pillow, so it's a bare mattress, bare sheets. You can see that there may have been some sort of posters or artwork that was on the wall at some point, but you can see just remnants, right? Torn corners where things used to be. And it's hard to tell from looking here, but there's like maybe charcoal, just drawings, geometric drawings all over the place. He is laying there. It appears that he's awake, maybe in his late 40s. He's just staring at the ceiling.
Hey, you. Psst.
He pops up.
How long you been in here?
$150 years.
What?
150 years. How long have you been here?
Hour?
That's not as long as 150 years.
Right. So was there ever a woman in here before you came in here or with you?
They don't let women in this part of the building. But if you know any women, can I give you a letter?
Sure.
Okay, 1 second. So he goes under his mattress and he pulls out his mattress and he pulls out an envelope. And he says, if you could just give this to anybody.
I take the letter and says, sure. I'll make sure I'll give it to someone.
Okay. And will you tell Danny that it's time for my meds?
I will tell Danny it's time for your meds. What is your name again?
Bill.
Bill. All right, Bill.
Yeah.
I'll tell Danny it's time for your meds.
Appreciate it.
All right. I step away slowly.
Yeah, he's not threatening at all. Seems pretty demure. You don't get a sense that he has a full grasp at reality. But nice enough guy.
I'm like start walking back. I'm gonna like read the letter a little bit while I'm walking back.
So you open the letter. It's a handwritten. It just says, "I'm sorry."
Oh.
And to be clear, this was something that who knows how long ago it was written, right? It was in an envelope sealed under his mattress.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it.
Okay.
I'm definitely gonna keep it.
Who has the Dunlap folio?
Me.
Did Vaco take it or
Yeah,
did Ashanti take
I
it?
got it in my bag.
Vaco.
Got it. Okay. So as we see Ashanti headed back to reception, we then cut to Vaco as he's worked his way to the West Wing towards Dr. Thompson's office.
Yep. Gonna walk there. Gonna find his office. Gonna knock. Knock, knock.
Yep. You find the office. The shade is pulled on the office, so you can't actually see into it. You give it a knock. There's no response.
Knock again. Dr. Thompson. Well, the machine was in the basement, and he did give me a free walk of the place, so I'm going to see if I can get myself into the basement.
Not too difficult, right? So you find a stairwell. You work your way down to the basement.
This is likely the place where
get-
there would be the like personal
Effect.
effect room as well.
So when you get to the basement, Vaco, it is not a multi-room basement. It is a basement that has just basically support pillars, and it's just one huge room that is the same footprint as this very large sanitarium. As you work your way down there, you open the door, get into it. This ceiling on it is definitely, allows you to stand up straight, but it's much lower than the ceilings that were, on the first floor in the main sanitarium. And what you come across feels like 2 football fields full of trash and garbage, and just it is things stacked on things. You see, immediately you see broken cots, like broken bedding, all stacked in one area, and it's kind of blocking, things. And over at the other side, you see all kinds of, furniture that are broken out. There's paperwork all over the place. This place is a mess, and it's huge.
I see. How much of a maze is it navigating around the items?
So in the immediate vicinity, you're able to work your way through, but you quickly realize that things start dead ending, right? So even though you can kind of look up and see the vastness of this, looking over things, but like there's just furniture and just stacks of crap all over the place. So it's real difficult to tell what anything is, where anything is.
Well, since he's so proud of his machine, he would probably keep it close. However, he doesn't want Dr. Smith to find it, so it wouldn't be out, obviously. So I'm going to start checking if there would be any good places to hide an electric sort of dynamo and things like this.
So let's think skills here, Veko. What do you think would be a good skill to be able to track down this electroshock therapy machine, do you think?
Accounting. No. Let's see. I think it will be spot hidden, because I don't think there is a search one.
Yeah, I like spot hidden. I like spot hidden, or luck is what I was thinking. So whatever's better for you.
I'll do spot hidden, please, because I'm an unlucky.
Great, let's do it.
Regular roll, I assume?
Yes, sir.
Nah, I'm not going to find anything.
Yeah, you start looking, Veko, and you very quickly realize that, if this machine was the size of a patient's room, it could potentially take you days to be able to figure out where the heck it is.
Well, yeah, I'm going to give up then and just leave.
Okay.
If I happen to run into Thompson, I'll ask him, but I'll go knock on his door once on the way, but if I can't find him.
Still no answer. So we make your way back to reception, and you're met there by your 3 compadres. The receptionist is very involved in her crossword puzzle. Apparently she forgot that she offered you guys candy and got distracted, and she's just back kind of doing her thing now.
I'm still
when Veko comes through.
I'm going to ask the receptionist if Dr. Thompson is somewhere special at this time, because I couldn't find him in his office.
She see her pull her watch. She looks at it and she goes, he usually goes to lunch at this time. I think he either goes to drink or take a nap somewhere. I have not quite figured out exactly where he vanishes to.
Oh, well.
He likes the drink.
Don't we all?
Don't we all?
It's good that it's illegal.
Indeed, I do agree, Burp.
That's devil juice.
Yes.
Well, it's a good thing that
lips that have touched liquor will never touch these.
What were you gonna say, Chip?
I said it's a good thing that Dr. Thompson and Dr. Smith have you to keep track of this place.
I like you. I like you. I agree. And if you see either of them, would you tell them that for me? They've been trying to get me to retire for years now, and I am just getting better. Look how I found her name was Dunlap, and I found her in the S's.
You are just amazing.
I could not agree more.
Well, while we wait, maybe we should get some fresh air.
No, I think we're pretty much done for today. I don't think if we have questions for Dr. Thompson, we can always come back.
Your buddy, Dr. Thompson.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to tell Dr. Smith that we said hi, and remind him about how we were very interested about the electrical machine that Dr. Thompson still keeps in the basement.
Very nice. I should write this down so I don't forget.
Oh, I already
She
did.
grabs paper. Okay. Well done. Well done. So we see the four of you leave the Arkham Sanitarium, head back to Ashanti's car. I don't know why I'm imagining Chip and shotgun, maybe Siobhan and Vaco in the back. And we head driving back to Newton, but we have a folio.
Oh, yes. It's going to be interesting to open. We need to go somewhere private.
Well, you're going to have 45 minutes in the car. So if you pull that out in the car, you start flipping through it, and we're going to headline this, right? So you look, you see that she was checked in. The dates match up. She was checked in the night of the birth and the death of the wife, and the birth of the child and death of the child. You see that she had been a midwife nurse for several years, very experienced, very expensive, based off of what you can tell. When she was checked in to Arkham, into the sanitarium, she was catatonic. She worked with Dr. Thompson, and Dr. Thompson his notes are barely legible, and suspiciously vague. Keeps talking about, we tried a therapy, and now we're going to try another therapy. And it's just like, unfortunately, 8 years later, she passed away. There's an autopsy report in there. She had some sort of heart event that ended her life. But the orderly that found her, as she was having her heart attack, he noted in the file what her last words were. So you pull that out, and the last thing she said is, right before she died, "It was awful. It didn't have any arms or legs or hardly a face, and it should have died." Let's take a quick 10-minute break. We'll be back on the other side. We'll see everybody in 10 minutes. So, Vaco, you read poor Nurse Dunlap's last words as she spoke to the orderly as she was then has a heart attack. And based off of her file, it looks like it may have been the only words she ever spoke for her entire time in the asylum, in the sanitarium, I should say.
Yeah, I think we need to go to the records office and see the death certificates for Mr. Corbett's wife and child.
Sounds like a plan. So she said it should have died,
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
meaning that it did not die as Corbett said.
It was awful. It didn't have any arms or legs or hardly a face. It should have died.
So I guess the records office is a good place to check, see what the death certificate is for the wife and the child.
But wouldn't the records office probably show that the child was dead, just like it said in the story?
Probably.
Maybe. Well, we gotta cross our T's, dot our I's, just to make sure.
Yeah, there might
And,
firstly there
also-
might be discrepancies, and secondly, worst case scenario, it'll tell us where it's buried.
Or supposed to be.
Before we get that extreme, because that's like
Grave digging.
in investigative, yep, grand. We might also be able to find a notary who signed it and ask them some questions.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, also these documents can be forged.
I won't be surprised at all if we find the name of Randolph on one of them. Yeah. You know, he does have money, influence, and some type of power, as we see. Yeah.
He knew where to find all of us.
Also, quick thing. Can we have like a story that we don't like switch like 3 times during doing illegal things, and can someone who is very good at lying sort of take the head on that just in future?
See,
That
my
would be
character has a 60 in persuasion, but it's more so like underworld persuasion. Like I can't. I'm not very good at persuading good, common, decent folk.
So to Siobhan's point, and for Joe's sake, it probably wouldn't hurt for us to do a quick kind of take a look at the character sheets, right? So I would like kind of bring up our character sheets and let's figure out who's our spot hidden person, maybe who is our persuade person, who's our fast talk person.
Okay.
It's probably good to get a sense of that, I think. We know it's not Siobhan.
I am good.
Or
at
maybe
saying-
it is.
I've got a 20 in fast talk and a 35 in charm. Most of that charm is for the older ladies, though.
Apparently, the older ladies like you, Chip.
I have a 60 in persuade, 55 in intimidate.
Ooh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
What's your fast talk?
My fast talk is a 5.
That's not
Yeah.
a good liar,
Nah, no.
Ashanti.
Straight to the point.
How about Vaco?
Yep, 60 persuade, but fast talk 5. I don't lie to people. I convince them of my truth.
Yes.
So to Joe's point, there's a possibility that the cover stories and lying may not be this party's cup of tea. And it's probably good that we looked into that.
We negotiate. We should negotiate.
We're great negotiators.
Yeah, you have no trouble convincing people, and with apparently several different, whether it be charm or sweet talking, persuade, or oh my god, I'm scared shitless of you. But I don't know how well you guys tell stories.
I'm still looking forward to trying to use demolitions to convince someone.
I think maybe we could even pitch it as like this sort of sub story that is actually true. Like this person has threatened us and our families, and the police are no help. We're not in the business of hiring someone to deal with this. So
We're doing research.
we're looking into
Which is true.
Yep.
So where are we headed?
What time is it?
So you got there about 9 in the morning. I don't think you spent more than 2 hours there. So let's say around lunchtime.
Newton
Okay.
City
Lunch?
Hall.
You want to go back to Connell's Diner?
Did they ever tell us where they get their produce from?
So I think there's 100% chance that Vaco actually asked the waitress that. She was kind of thought the question was odd. But she mentioned that so-and-so distributor, comes here on Thursdays, and I don't recommend getting a salad on Wednesdays. But you're better off ordering the salad on those Thursdays.
Should we go to City Hall?
Yeah, we could go look at try to see if we can look at the records.
Yeah. I think records is the best choice.
So you guys go to Newton City Hall, and this is a situation where I don't feel a time pressure. You're not doing anything illegal or any level of subterfuge. These are all public records that you're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably going to montage this, and I don't think we need to roll, right? You roll back. You're gonna find this information either way, and we roll to say that it took 2 hours or 30 minutes. I don't see any point in doing that either. So give me a sense of what we're looking for, and and then we can talk about what is found.
The death certificate of Mr. Corbett's wife and child, and if there is anything like any additional documents related to that, any documents about the nurse Mona Dunlop, because there might be some sort of like we might get to know if she had any relatives or things like this, and also Mr. Corbett's tax records.
Okay. So we'll step through it.
I was going to say,
go ahead.
We could look in the city directory to see if the Myers, the wife's family, are still alive, or if there's anything about his mom too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, as well as like any names, like specific names of like notaries and all the stuff that's like dealing with these documents.
All right, so we'll step through it. I'm going to answer them. If I'm forgetting anything, you tell me, or if new things, like, because there's a potential you would find something that would lead you to look for something else, right? So we'll just kind of walk through it together. So let's talk about the death certificates, which I would imagine be one of the first things you try to track down. Unlike the sanitarium, the records here in City Hall are very organized, and things are where they're supposed to be. You have no trouble finding Elaine Corbett's death certificate. Cause of death was blood loss during childbirth. The dates match up to the news story that Vaco found, and that's about the level of detail that's there. That it was just blood loss due to childbirth is what is listed there. There's no records of a child. So, and in theory, it could be missing, but there's no indication that it's missing, right? So you don't find an empty folder. There's no reference to a child in her records other than she died during childbirth.
Just to clarify for my own information, Bernard, our Mr. Corbett's wife was Elaine.
Correct.
So was Theodore, his dad's.
Oh, so I'm sorry. Yeah, Theodore was his dad.
Yeah, and
right?
Theodore
I'm trying to remember.
was survived by his wife, Elaine.
Elaine. Oh, so I gave you the wrong name. What was the wife's name? Was it
Linan.
Lynn.
Lynn? So
Lynn.
that was Lynn Ann's certificate, not Elaine.
Yeah.
Sorry. I saw Elaine Corbett in my notes.
Yeah.
That's when Elaine. But yes, I'm sorry. That would have been that was the wife, not the mother. The mother passed away of natural causes. After the father did. Looking at those records, nothing untoward or odd about that. She died at an elderly age. There is a record for the father. There was no body found, but presumed dead in India. There were no remains brought back, but there was a service that Bernard and his mother gave. Looking for tax records, you do see when after a period of 5 years that the father was declared legally dead after being missing for 5 years. You can see that the mother, Elaine, transferred all the businesses over to Bernard. So he now is the sole owner of the Corbett Importers and Exporters. They've got an office in downtown Newton. They also have an office in Boston. Based off of the taxes that are being paid by the company itself, which is public records, you can see that he does very well for himself, or the company does very well for itself. It seems to specialize importing and exporting of art and things like paintings and sculptures, things like that. All right, what else are we looking for?
Quick question with the death of a child. Do we know, and maybe it doesn't matter too much, if the baby was stillborn, would there be a death certificate for it?
Oh, definitely. Like, yeah, without question, there would be a death certificate for the child. Yeah. Yeah. You definitely expected to find that.
Yeah. So then looking in like a city directory to see if was Edward and Shirley Myers, if they were in the area, or if there was any death certificate or anything like that from them.
Both of them passed away actually before the Bernard and the wife got married. So they had passed away at an older age, not a young but old. So like let's say like mid 50s, late 50s.
That's not possible.
But why is that?
Well, because apparently Mrs. Corbett was survived by her parents.
Okay, so they died after her, but soon after.
Of a broken heart, I bet.
But not suspiciously
Yes.
soon after.
But thank you, Klaus. But both, I think one was like heart condition, one was cancer or something like that.
Mr. I don't remember his last name, Zawolinsky or something, Randolph.
Mm-hmm.
Any city directory for him of like an address in the area?
So for people younger than me that are watching, there used to be a thing called a phone book. And everybody was in the phone book, and it included your name, it included your address and your phone number. So you guys have no trouble finding the Newton phone book. You do find him listed in there. He's in an apartment that's about 4 or 5 miles from the hospital. And I think Siobhan, you probably recognize that not the nicest part of town, where our orderly lives, and it is this year's phone book. So
Also, did we find any living relatives to the nurse, Mona Dunlop?
No.
Nothing.
No, she apparently not from Massachusetts by any indication. So you don't find any type of relatives, anything along those lines. She no marriage certificates, any indication she was married either. And if she was, it wasn't in Massachusetts.
The death certificate for the wife, it's probably signed by someone.
Mm-hmm.
Can we find out where that person, if he still works for the city or whoever? And
so you pull the name, and as you're looking for Randolph's location in the phone book, hey, let's see if we can find this notary here, and you go through and you don't see that name at all listed in the directory, which could be for a couple reasons. One, the person is no longer living in the area. The person is no longer living. There's all kinds of reasons why they would not necessarily be in the phone book.
But it was done by like what institution, the death certificate?
Funny enough, it was the same Newton Hospital that Ashanti went to.
Mhm.
That's where both her, that's where you only know her, right? That's where her body was taken. She was marked dead when the ambulance arrived. She had already passed away. Her body was taken to the hospital. That's where they did a cursory investigation. There was no autopsy made. That's where she was certified as, death due to loss of blood during childbirth.
Yeah.
Would that make sense? Is that like the closest hospital?
Oh yeah, nothing weird about that, right? So if there's one hospital in Newton.
Was was the address on her death certificate, was that his current address across from John's?
Yep. They bought the house. They actually inherited the house from the father. That's also where his parents had lived. Let's also have you find records that there was a convalescent home where the mother went soon afterwards, a very, very nice one in Boston. And that's where she lived the rest of her days.
Siobhan will look for like the records, or not look records, but just like any information about like the business itself, just to, like, so she can look some stuff up later about like the kind of art, because I don't think they'd have in City Hall like this is the art that they are importing. But yeah.
Well, so you see, because of the taxes and where the taxes are paid, there's certain, assets and things listed. And like I mentioned, property wise, there's an office in Newton. There's an office and also in downtown, a very expensive piece of real estate office in downtown Boston. There's listings of warehouses. Those seem to flip, right? So he owned, sold different warehouses and storage. A lot, it appears, based off of the import taxes that the company has paid, that a lot of the art is brought in from the East Indies, right? So from India, you see some things from China, a couple things from Afghanistan. It looks like that's where the majority of the importing seems to be happening. Exporting happens all over the world. So it appears that he brings these things in from the East Indies and then sells them all over the world.
And do we have that address for like the most recently not flipped warehouse?
Sure. Yeah, there's actually one right outside of Newton.
Is it anywhere close to the office?
No, but probably a good half hour from the office. About 20 minutes from Siobhan's house.
All right, gear up and go. Check the warehouse.
What's our next move?
Good question.
Do we want to check the warehouse at night or during the day? I know Saban doesn't. She's not up for nighttime activities anymore.
Also, I'd like to check from the records where the wife is buried?
There's the big cemetery in Newton.
I kind of want to go check that out.
Okay.
Okay, you know, like swing by there on the way home.
Yeah.
Way back to Newton. So you guys get there. There's a groundskeeper that you guys interact with. Super helpful guy. He takes you directly to the plot. You get there, and there's two graves. There is a grave for the wife, and there is a grave for the child. And it's just marked child of, Mr. and Mrs. Bernard Corbett. So there's no name on the tombstone, but the grave is right next to the wife's and the mother's.
And is it because they're from an affluent family? Is it like a kind of like a family plot sort of thing? Like, is there?
You do notice, Siobhan, that there's the father's has a marker there, but not a grave. You do see that the mother was buried there, and you do see an empty plot, right? So there's room for Bernard, but obviously nothing's marked or anything. But it's like grave, little area, grave. Yeah. So it being a family plot makes sense.
You might be feeling that plot faster than you think.
So are we going to become grave robbers?
How long has... No, I don't think we need to go that far yet. How long has the groundskeeper worked there?
Let's have him worked there. Let's do a luck roll. Let's see. Thanks for the Kimberly. Who's got our best luck? Who's the lucky one of the bunch? Did we figure that out? It's just Siobhan. All right, Siobhan. Let's see how lucky you are that this groundskeeper may have been around during the burial of the wife.
I mean, I absolutely nailed it last time, so
We believe in you.
Very nice. So
that's less than
by sheer luck, by sheer coincidence, Siobhan, he actually was he prepared for the funeral. So he prepared the plots for the funeral, and was there for the funeral, not as a guest, but just as somebody who, works at the graveyard. What kind of questions do we have?
Who were the Morticians?
That he does not know.
Does he know where we could find this out?
Yeah, in fact, he can look it up for you. Local Mortician, Newton office. Not a big surprise who it is, especially considering, there's multiple tiers of certain Morticians cost more than others, and definitely the best.
Yep.
He does mention there was two coffins. There was a small child-sized coffin, and then the wife's coffin. Though he wasn't there for the viewing or anything, that was all done at the funeral home. He mentioned that the how do I put this? The child's coffin was light, but he said he's never really buried a newborn child, so he wouldn't anticipate, he wouldn't even know how heavy it was. And, he talks about how disturbing it was to be a coffin that it was much bigger than a shoebox.
Ooh.
How many people were there at the service approximately? Or at the
there was just her parents, himself and his mother.
Private.
Interesting for such an affluent family to have so few friends.
don't suppose you were able to recognize what denomination the service was held in.
No. We could... I have no idea.
What was the pattern on the mother's dress?
Episcopalian. We're in the Northeast. It's Episcopalian or Catholic, one or the other.
What you mean? They didn't have like these weird symbols and stuff.
Yeah, that's really why I wasn't trying to test you, Craig. That's really why I was just wondering if any idols were shaken about, you know.
Well, so I mean, if you ask him about the service, he says it was pretty unremarkable. It was very quick. If you ask about Bernard, he was together but solemn. He cried during the service, if you ask. And trying to figure out if there's something suspicious going on, if he noticed anything, he didn't. The only thing that he really brings up a few times is just how tragic it is for a man to lose, his wife that way, and that, he hopes he never has to bury a newborn like that again. That shook him for years.
Oh well, at least we know. At least we know they are at rest now. I think we thank him for his time and continue onwards. Now we at least know where it is, if we have any need of it. This knowledge.
Where to? So let's put us at like mid-afternoon, post-lunch.
All right.
I still don't like this Randolph guy.
No, we're definitely going to shake down that Randolph guy at some point, but the question is, do we do it now or do we do it a little bit later?
I know what Chip wants to do.
I want to just see, like, if we went to the hospital and he saw Ashanti up and moving, like, what is his reaction to that? It just seems squirrely.
I just feel like we have a whole lot of information, but there's nothing we can really use against Corbett. Like, only thing we have is that there's no death certificate for the child, but there's a grave for the child.
Yeah, and someone might, like, he can argue that someone lost the death certificate, and it's a plausible explanation.
We don't really have anything on him yet.
Besides, everybody who's connected to anything with him is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Randolph.
Except for
yeah, we can go. I mean, we can go if no one has any other plan. We can go muscle in on Randolph.
Like, and just to add a little bit of detail, the Jesse's guy who, Jesse had one of his men kind of stake out, I think first Ashanti, right, to make sure that Ashanti was kept safe, and then assigned him to follow Corbett a little bit. And a couple things that this guy saw. One, Corbett did a few things that were weird, right? A lot of stuff that wasn't weird. He'd go to the office in the morning, so on and so forth, would go to the grocery store, things like that. But two things that your guy Chip found. One is how you found this Randolph guy, is that he came to Ashanti's hospital a few times and would often meet with this guy at the loading dock. There was one instance where you saw this Randolph guy give a package or two to Corbett. Corbett would take it, put it in his trunk of his car, take it home, and bring whatever it was into the house. The guy did a little bit of digging, and that's when he gave you the article about the arrest warrant, or the arrest of this guy and what he was arrested for. The other thing that was very odd is once a week on Sundays, Corbett would go to the city dump, the city landfill, and take stuff out of his trunk, turn it over to whoever's working at the landfill. Maybe money was exchanged. But it was almost religiously over those 5 weeks. For the 4 Sundays in that 5-week period, he would always go to the landfill. And weekly would meet with this Randolph guy.
And somebody of his wealth would probably have somebody go to the dump for him.
Yeah. I mean, usually, that it's pretty like there's a public area, right, where you could take things like furniture and stuff, and then they'll take care of it for you, stuff that they wouldn't pick up as part of the normal trash run. That would be about the only reason a person would go to the dump, right? That's just a place where that's where the garbage trucks end up.
Does any one of us know any journalists? Because my next idea kind of requires really, really deep research, and I don't think any of us is like qualified for it.
I am welcome to have somebody have a friend who's a journalist.
Spoken with a few, art reporters. I'm sure there's an actual word for that.
How about photographers, right? I'm sure there'd be some circles that would cross as far as people that are photojournalists and work for the Newton paper. Sure.
The thing I would like to know, get someone to investigate, is whether child mortality is higher at the Newton Hospital than at other average hospitals in the Massachusetts area.
So I can tell you this, Vako, that is something that you would have been able to look at in city records, right? Because the city records not only would have that information, death rates by age and stuff for Newton, but it would have it to greater Massachusetts as well. And if you're looking for any type of significant difference as far as child mortality, no, in fact, if anything, it appears that the Newton Hospital is a pretty good hospital, because not only did you find no spikes in infant mortality, but just overall they were above average or below average, depending on how you want to look at it. But they seem to do a better job of not killing people than other hospitals in Massachusetts.
What about maiming?
So yeah. But no, nothing showed up statistically, nothing significant as far as that's concerned. That's something that you guys could have figured out while you were at City Hall.
I had this idea that Randolph that actually Corbett isn't killing kids, that this Randolph guy is delivering child parts to Corbett, after which he uses them for something, and then after that he takes them to the city dump where these people that he pays hides them and gets rid of them.
But for what?
Siobhan, I think Siobhan was going to say something real quick.
Oh, I was just like, this might be a little morbid, but if it is on a plateau of regular infant mortality, is it weird that the groundskeeper has only buried one in his, because he's worked there for a long time? Is that weird?
I mean, probably because they're keeping the kids alive, so it's not weird.
Or do you mean that Mr. Corbett gets those kids before the groundskeeper?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And the question is, are there is Randolph keeping them off the records? So in the records, we would also probably get to see average amount of how much they treat people. That might actually be too much to find in the records, like ages that they treat.
Yeah, it's more statistical stuff, right, Vako? I think you'd have to go to the hospital records to really be able to dig a little bit deeper there.
I think we need to watch Randolph a little bit longer just to see what he's doing and try to catch him in the act of whatever he's doing. So how he meets with Corbett, once a month or a couple of times?
It was weekly, right? It was weekly. While Chip's guy was there following him, was weekly. He would meet him at night, and inappropriately at night, like 11 o'clock, 12:30 a.m. type of time, not like 7 o'clock after dinner.
Okay.
And it would vary, right? So sometimes it'd be a Monday, sometimes it would be a Thursday, sometimes it'd be a Sunday. So there wasn't a set day, but it wasn't it wasn't 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. It was just roughly once a week. But in the time you were in the hospital and Chip had you under surveillance and also had Corbett under surveillance. It happened, basically 5 different times during that period of time over that 5-week period that he met with this Randolph guy, and it was at the loading dock in the back of the hospital.
And so we have an idea of what we might be doing with our evening. How is it Sunday, like where he would go and dump stuff off at night?
Let's make it Friday.
Okay, yeah. So we can
Let's make it Friday. So you got a little bit of time.
check in on hospital stuff, and then Sunday we know we have to.
Another thing I would be interested in finding out is if the area or the nearby area has a larger amount of missing children's reports.
That does not appear to be the case based off of, again, statistical data that you're able to pull, Vaco. Nothing like, looking into, mortality rates of children, missing children, the focus on numbers around children. There's nothing that stands out in your investigation at City Hall.
Well, the capitalist government is covering it up.
They're all in on it.
It's a little plot to sell milk.
It's Soylent Green.
Yes.
Ashanti is stumped. Like he's taking all this information in, but he doesn't there's a whole lot of puzzle pieces.
Yep.
And the pieces come together to just show this grassy knoll. And there's nothing weird about it. And that's the weird part, because there's nothing weird about it. So how do we find the weirdness?
Well, we could
Go
go
to
see them.
greenhouse.
Just kicking the front door.
As you say that, I run my car.
We could go to the Morticians and see if we could get at their records about the burial.
The other thing I want to look at, if it's like around daytime, is the sort of art that they bring in. There could be like a common theme that is like suspicious. I don't have to bore everyone with going and looking at art sales, but that's something I do want to.
Okay.
Oh, I wouldn't mind walking around looking at art sales with you, young lady. But yeah.
I'm good with that.
Maybe we check out the warehouse now, and then this evening.
Well, I think we should go to the Boston office rather than the new one. Yeah. Another trip if people are up for driving.
It's about an hour to get to Boston from there. Chip, your guy did make a note, to you that your Corbett never went to the Boston office. He only ever would go to the Newton office. And, based on the records that you found, the Boston office is the big office, right? That's the main office. That's where the Newton office is not where people don't go to the Newton office. People work at the Newton office, but any type of listings for, if you're interested in buying art, if you're interested in selling art, come visit us at Boston 12345, right?
Siobhan, if you're planning on going to the main office and pose as an art connoisseur and an art purchaser, you really need to dress up a little bit.
Are you threatening to Pretty Woman me, a movie that hasn't come out yet, and that won't for like 60 or so years, but the concept of which is universal?
This is where Pretty Woman gets to start.
A Star is Born.
I don't have that kind of money. It's fine. Wait.
Aunt Sarah
I do
does.
know a rich older lady who may or may not have things in her
And
size.
I pretty much think she would love to go shopping with you.
Are we going back to Aunt Sarah's? Now, I will say that Siobhan mentioned that she was going to go and meet with Ashanti and everybody. And Aunt Sarah was beside herself. In fact, Ashanti, 3 different times there was flowers delivered from Aunt Sarah while you were in the hospital.
Aw.
She constantly asked Siobhan about it. And she's just a good lady, right? Just a real good lady. And she did offer to make dinner.
No.
What's weird about that is Siobhan mentioned she would go to the store to buy the stuff for the salad. And Aunt Sarah's like, but I have, and no, I insist.
No, great place. I just discovered it. It's sort of out of your area of, yeah.
So that is an option for this evening as well, as if the Aunt Sarah did invite everybody to dinner. She was, what, like I said, would love to see Ashanti, love to see the man with the funny accent, and would Chip be coming?
Yeah.
That's also a topic of conversation.
Yeah. So maybe that's a pitch for you are all fully invited to come around this evening. Might be worth asking about either just an outfit or taking her out to Boston to have a look at art and that sort of thing.
Yes, both of these could be a very good choice. Like, shopping and art watching. I bet in Boston, I bet she'd be totally up for that. And she can take her. Oh, now I've forgotten the name of the woman we met with her when we were moving boxes.
Oh, hold on. I've got it in my notes. That was, I think it was Miss Wallace, was it not? No, Miss Wallace was the woman who took care of, I think it was Miss Harriet Hart. Miss Hart.
She was the gossip down the street.
Yep.
And Miss Wallace was the one that took care of that, Sarah, right?
Right. And that was the person you met, Miss Wallace, on the porch.
Yes.
Right. So her and Aunt Sarah were friends, and she was basically like a live-in caretaker for Miss Hart.
Right. Yeah, but I think that's a good idea. If we don't need to stalk Randolph until Sunday. What day was it? Any specific day that he used to go to the city dump?
That's the Sunday. Any other day is the Randolph thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sundays was the time that he went to the landfill, but he would meet with Randolph at inappropriately late hours, and it would vary.
Okay.
I think the plan for now could just be maybe some of us or all of us take a look in at an unreasonable hour around a hospital, just to see if we catch them tonight, and if not, we have a few avenues we can take going forward, and
we can start with dinner though, because that's before an unreasonable hour.
Yeah.
Never say no to free food.
I will say at some point, we probably have to rough up Randolph.
Probably.
Well, that was my question. If we caught him talking to Corbett or doing something bad, what are we gonna do?
Oh, just regardless, we're just gonna rough up Randolph.
Yeah, no.
Good luck with all of that. It might be worth letting Corbett leave and then approaching Randolph.
But I think we shouldn't do that until we catch him in the act.
Shanti's not saying when.
He's just saying it's going to happen.
Correct. All right. So it sounds like dinner at Aunt Sarah's potentially. It sounds like we want to check out the Boston office at some point. It sounds like we want to check out the warehouse at some point. It sounds like we want to stake out the hospital and do some poking around there. What do we want to do now. We're going to smash cut. Where are we cutting to?
Dinner.
And we also wanted to check out the Morticians if they have any records of the.
That's right. Yep.
So we do the Morticians first, then go to dinner.
Yeah, Morticians then dinner, I think.
So you go to the funeral home. The person who worked at the graveyard told you about, the cemetery, not graveyard. That was ominous. Let's have you guys posing as potential clients. Siobhan has an elderly aunt, and we just, and questions, very friendly thing. Everybody gets along. You're a charming group when you're not lying.
Mr. Corbett recommended you. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. And they definitely took care of the wife. They prepared the wife. It was closed coffin by Mr. Corbett's direction. They bought and had to order a child's coffin, but they never saw the child. So what Corbett explained to them is that he had hired an out-of-town mortician funeral home that was specialized in this, and but they would bring the coffin for the service. And he said, which the mortician doesn't sound like that's that weird. Like he's never had like any type of pre-funeral services that involved children or anything like that. So he didn't find it odd as you have that conversation with him. But he never saw or participated in the preparation of a child.
Okay.
So no one has seen did the paramedics on the scene see the child, or did he just take the? That's weird. Because no one has seen this child. No one has placed their eyes on the child. That's what Ashanti is saying to himself, and what basically out loud saying to himself, like no one.
I'm almost tempted to try and find who wrote the article.
That's another question that I had.
That shouldn't be too hard. Like finding out who wrote the article, that should be pretty easy. Knowing what paper it's from and the date and the article.
Oh yeah, no question. There's a byline on the article and everything. Yeah, that's the Newton Herald or whatever the hell it's called. But yeah,
yeah,
definitely. But so we've got a lot of threads. I'm trying to get a sense of which one are we pulling first.
Well, we just went to we're at the mortician now.
Yep.
We got the information that there was no child body in the coffin. He hired a outside mortician. So I think we should go get dinner, and then from there we decide if we're going to go to the warehouse or scope the hospital.
Yeah, and it's probably too late anyway to go to the paper to ask about the reporter. So
yeah, we could do that.
Good thing it's the 1920s and we have a 6-day work week, so we can go ask them tomorrow.
Really funny. Well done. So let's smash cut to you guys pulling up in front of Aunt Sarah's, in front of Siobhan's house now. She's been living there for weeks now. And that's got to be a little weird. Not for Siobhan. She's been here several times, but this is the first time the other three of you have been here. I would imagine one of the first things you would do is look across the street, even if you're as you're pulling up. Corbett's car is not there. Around dinner time, no sense of whether that's odd or not odd based on what Siobhan's seen. Sometimes he's there at dinner time. Sometimes he isn't. Aunt Sarah is beside herself. Just so happy that Ashanti is up and doing well. Did you get my flowers? Just a very effusive and kind, very nice and polite to Vaco. Asked Siobhan whether she's gonna she plans on doing laundry this week or not because it's piling up. Gives Chip a little bit of a longer hug than might be appropriate. And she tries to be delicate and doesn't quite know how to put it, Chip, but she says, "Did you bring anything for after dinner?"
Yep, don't worry. I always have a little something on me.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So happy to see you. So the same table where you played poker is where she's got dinner set up. She wasn't sure whether you were going to come or not, so she wasn't super prepared. Insists on, I'll be in the kitchen, does ask Siobhan for help, refuses to let the other three of you help. The three of you guys are sitting there.
I'm facing the window.
Okay. Vaco's facing the window. I do need to get a sense of what this is like. And I want to start with you, Ashanti, because this was the most traumatic, not only the most traumatic of what happened to the out of the four of you, but I would venture to guess this must have been one of the most traumatic things that have ever happened to you, period. And now you're back here. Can we get a sense of your headspace?
I feel I inside the house. I'm not threatened by the house itself, but the proximity to Corbett's house just fills me with anger and paranoia.
Yeah.
And I just feel like any time anything can happen. So I keep it's just like I just keep massaging my pistol. Like I just keep making sure it's there, making sure it hasn't moved, making sure it's not gone. Because I don't know what can happen. Like now I just feel like anytime I'm in this area, anything can happen at any time. And I don't trust vegetables when I'm in this area. So it's just like I just keep looking at the window, just keep staring out the window, waiting for his car to pull up, waiting for some like some type of weird iridescent lights to come out of the glass house. So,
The greenhouse.
The greenhouse, yeah. Sorry, the greenhouse. Yeah. Like I'm just waiting, anticipating something bad to happen. And I'm trying to not show it, but it's just like you can just see me just keep reaching my hip and stroking my pistol, making sure it's there.
So Chip, I would imagine as much as Ashanti's trying to hide, what he's doing, I think everybody gets a sense of Ashanti's state of mind. But Ashanti wasn't the only one that experienced this. Now, granted, you came out of it relatively unscathed, but you weren't hospitalized by any stretch of the imagination. But you still saw a giant spider made of spiders attack you on floating rocks in this psychedelic other place. Where's Chip's head?
Yeah, physically he was fine, but he just seems distracted, like just, kind of finds his gaze kind of staring out of the corner of his eye at the house or the greenhouse. Just easier to kind of just, go unfocused and kind of, have that on his mind. I don't think there's necessarily like a panic or anything like that. It's maybe like a low anxiety of like, and what's this guy gonna do if he knows who we all are. He sees the truck or car and we're here. Yeah, so I'm just like unfocused, distracted kind of.
And Vaco, everything that happened that night was secondhand information for you and for Siobhan, right? But it's obvious that Vaco has had a very visceral reaction, not only to what happened at the greenhouse, but with the less than subtle threatening objects that were found in each of the homes and bedside for Siobhan. Now that Vaco is here, where is his headspace?
Well, firstly, like Vaco has seen a lot of tragedy and a lot of accidents and a lot of stuff. So technically the fact that Ashanti got hurt wasn't as shocking as probably to the other people.
Right.
But the thing was that all of us were threatened, and he now he's trying to sit very tall, very proud, sort of as a challenge to Mr. Corbett, showing that we're not scared of him.
Right.
That's the only way to deal with these capitalist bullies.
For Siobhan, though, this has been a different experience because this is not the first time, obviously, you've been back. You've been living here across the street. Can you give me a sense of what these 5 weeks have been like, knowing what happened across the street, seeing Corbett at times, though you never made contact with him?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to something that she mentioned earlier of like she doesn't kind of have that. She doesn't see in herself like that ability to sort of do anything about it. So like the past 5 weeks have just kind of been this malaise of like hopelessness, like helplessness of needing anything to kind of distract, pull her out of that, like finding things to focus on, like, you know, art and stuff, like just spending way more time with Aunt Sarah of just kind of talking. And this today, like seeing the group of these guys and like actually being able to, albeit in the way that she deals with it, which is, you know, with kind of like a half smile or that something like kind of sardonically, like it's been freeing and sort of almost kind of bringing this like hope of we can talk about these things, and there's like we've done things today, and like it doesn't seem like it's amounting to much, but it is a direction, it's something that I can help with.
I think that's fascinating that you know, after 5 weeks of pretending or 5 weeks of ignoring, getting the confirmation of seeing everybody and that like being reality again, right? Like this did happen, right?
Yeah.
This did occur. It's very cool that Siobhan would see that as being hopeful. I think that's very, very cool. As Siobhan and Aunt Sarah are in the kitchen preparing dinner, it smells so good. And is on edge as the three of you were when you first got here. There was a little bit of a release in just seeing Aunt Sarah, just because of who she is and how she is and how welcoming and hospitable she is. And you know, in the hour or so that you have been sitting there, I don't know how much small talk would be happening during that time. Maybe some discussions, kind of checking notes and talking about next steps. Vaco has made a point to keep an eye across the street. I would imagine looking for a car, right? Or looking for a light to turn on. To the point where I think there might have been times where there was conversations happening and someone would ask Vaco a question and you realize that Vaco wasn't listening. Right. He's a man focused. And I think it's that focus that makes you notice something, Vaco. Now, you did a quick assessment when you pulled in the car of the house. Is the car there? No. Are there lights on? No. Are the shades pulled? Yes. Right. You just you did an inventory, right, of what the situation is. And now that you're sitting there, as focused as you are, one of those things changes. What you see on the second floor is it appears that someone or something pulls the curtains aside. And it's difficult from where you are, but it looks like somebody was looking out the window. And it didn't last very long.
I immediately, when I see movement, I point out, hey, there's movement, to the others. And point. Second window to the left somewhere, whichever window it is, I point it out and see if anyone else.
Second floor, no lights on in the house, no porch lights, nothing. So there's no lights, all the curtains are pulled. And on the second floor, one of the windows the curtain gets pulled aside, and you can see somebody peeking out of the window, but you're too far away to get any sense of who that is. And it's quick.
So I suppose neither of the other ones have time to see it.
Correct.
Vaco, was it? Did they pull it away like a man height? I guess you could say, like 5-6 feet up, or was it low, like maybe a kid or something like that was looking out?
So Vaco, two things. One, you didn't see the curtains pull. You just noticed that they had been pushed to the side, right? And it wasn't like the curtains were opened. You imagine someone taking the curtains and peeking, right? That's what it felt and looked like from where you were. And again, you're not close to this, right? So it was a good bit away. It's hard to say how tall this person was or is, but the head peaked at very close to the edge of the bottom of the window. Now, whether that is an indication of height or an indication of, because this wasn't a what's going on outside. It was you saw the curtain pulled aside. You couldn't get a sense of what was pulling it aside. You saw the head. It's not like that they saw you. It's not like they were like, and then saw you and pulled. It was, you saw the movement, you saw the head, and then then the curtain pulled away. But if we were assuming that this person was standing, they would have been very, very short, but hard to say that's significant, because quite frankly, Vaco, if you were peeking out the window, you would get down to the bottom of the window and pull it aside, right?
Yeah.
But that's what you saw. What you say to Chip, I don't know, but I wanted to tell you what you saw.
Yeah, I can't say. It wasn't like a 6-foot guy standing there. But it could have been a 6-foot guy like crouching there. I can't say. The head did
Vaco,
not
it happens
look...
again.
Oh,
it happens again in a different window on the second floor. And if you bring it to their attention, Chip and Ashanti, you have a chance to look.
Yeah, of course I bring it to their attention. There it goes again.
It happens very quick. It's a different window. It is still on the second floor, but similar to what I described the first time.
And we see it. The other two catch it.
Yeah, and it's definitely like, now that like mentally Vaco is prepared, you and himself, for what he saw before, it's definitely a person's, like, it's a head, right? It's a person. That it's not, a cat or something like that. You could see the shape and everything.
And I relate to, I say, everything in me wants me to go over there, kick in the door, see what this is. If I don't like it, shoot it.
Chip is a little surprised.
I'm gonna shout and
talk
ask.
Me down, guys. Talk me down.
I'm gonna shout and ask Sarah if she's or Siobhan if they've seen Mr. Corbett get any guests lately or something like that.
So Vaco, you come into the kitchen.
Yeah.
And Sarah's stirring a pot of something. Siobhan's cutting vegetables.
So,
yeah, I think you cut into like just the description of like want to go up to Boston, Ashante's like volunteered to drive, want to go have a look at some distribution.
And Sarah loves the idea of buying you clothes. Loves the idea of buying clothes. She has been passive aggressive about your fashion style for all 5 weeks. And like, she views this as a breakthrough, Siobhan. Like, you want to buy like a nice dress, I think that's wonderful, Siobhan. Have you met somebody?
Far. I mean,
that Chip boy seems awfully nice. Are you?
Oh boy, Vaco.
That Chip boy.
He is a nice lad.
So Vaco, you come into the kitchen mid-conversation as we're discussing how excited Aunt Sarah is about going shopping.
Yeah. Siobhan, Aunt Sarah, has Mr. Corbett got guests you've seen?
there's like a look at Aunt Sarah of just like you see the on the face of Siobhan of like, okay, how do I address this without saying like, oh, I've been staring out the window watching this man's house. He hadn't mentioned anything about it. And then you get like the look of
So and Aunt Sarah kind of tips her head up. You can see like she's digging right and to the back of her head a little bit, and she goes, "No, I don't think I've. No, I don't remember him ever having friends over or anything. And I've invited him over for dinner several times, long before you guys got here. He never took me up on it. Would always just bring a crate over and thank me for the offer, but." No, like, and boy, I mean, it's, in fact, I've never seen anybody over there since his wife died. Did somebody come into the house? Did you see, is there somebody pulled up there? Should we call the police? Because that would be odd if a different car pulled up.
I didn't see a car, but I think I saw someone in there.
Well, I mean, no, he wouldn't be home because he
The
left
car
this
isn't
morning.
there.
That's did you guys did Chip already break out the after dinner?
No, I haven't touched the
No,
room yet.
no, he didn't. And then I take a sip of my flask.
That would be very odd. And she's.
Yeah.
But Siobhan, there has been Aunt Sarah's not senile on this one.
I think it might be pertinent for me to take Ashanti and Chip and just take a little wander around his house to see that there's nobody breaking in.
I have been advocating for a neighborhood walk that I think that in evenings that, I don't know if you've been noticing, but we are not that far away from where there's things that are happening. There are break-ins all of the time, and I know this is a hard time for a lot of people. But a neighborhood like this should be safe. Vaco, don't you agree that my husband worked hard in order to be able for us to live here, and I just think it's terrible that these types of things are happening.
I agree. It's terrible that these types of things are happening.
Yes, appease the capitalists.
It should be someone's civic duty.
My husband worked hard every day and saved his money and did well in the stock market. And I think that part of the reward for having that happen is for us to be safe and not have to worry about people who made poor decisions trying to take our things. So I think it's wonderful that you'd be willing to protect the assets of Mr. Corbett.
I'm very, very much like fighting to hold my tongue. There are more important things than
cutting
education.
vegetables and is just looking. Make up like.
Aunt Sarah, please shut up. Aunt Sarah, please shut up.
Perhaps you
It kind of
should.
shows Vaco's face and Aunt Sarah going on and grabs the two bottles that he brought and busts out the rum from down on the islands and then some wine that somebody's been making that he saves the wine for later, but brings out the rum to kind of cool things over a little bit.
Chip knows how to change the subject, I'll tell you. So as soon as Aunt Sarah hears the glasses clinking, she immediately is, "Oh, you were such a nice boy, and this I know we shouldn't be doing this, and could you a little bit more? A little bit more?"
Yeah.
So we have got an adequately change of subject. Miss Sarah is very, very, very focused on this. So Vaco, you've confirmed that there's no known house guest.
Yeah, so let's go check it out. Let's go take a wander to see that nobody's breaking in. Wink, wink.
Shanti, Chip, we are joining Vaco.
Yes.
Part of me wants to take Siobhan and go over to talk to Miss Harriet and and see if she's seen anything, and also to distract her so that she doesn't see the two large men who are stalking around his house.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Miss Harriet would love to see and Siobhan, tell Miss Harriet this is the boy I've been talking about.
We can do introductions. I'm sure it'll be lovely.
So the four of you leave onto the front porch of Aunt Sarah's, and we see Chip and Siobhan heading to the right, to the door, to next door, to Mr. Corbett's, where Miss Harriet is. Oddly, by the time Siobhan and Chip cross the street, we see Miss Harriet peeking out the window. She immediately notices that somebody's within the vicinity, and you see a suspicious face quickly turn into recognition, recognizing Siobhan as the two of you come up. But let's now cut to Ashanti and Vaco. You guys also leave, but you don't go to the right. Where do you go?
Straight across.
Yeah.
We're not gonna make ourselves look like liars to Aunt Sarah.
So Vaco and Ashanti, you cross the street, get to the other side. And I mentioned it's a decently long driveway, right? Probably maybe 75-yard driveway up to the house itself. You're at the bottom of the driveway. There's the mailbox that Ashanti almost took out on his last visit to the Corbett estate. And I have no doubt that both of you guys are laser focused on the second story.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Based on what you saw. So when it happens, I don't think it would have startled either of you. If anything, it's expected based off of the patterns that we've seen. But now you're closer. So when the curtain pulls aside back to the original window, not the second window, though you don't see the hand or anything, you do get a much clearer view of who. You don't know her, but you both immediately can tell that it's a woman. And though it happens very quick, you would venture to guess a woman maybe in her late 20s, early 30s. Plain, but with a look of terror on her face. You think she then makes eye contact with you. You are not sure. And then her head vanishes and the curtain falls back closed. Let's go to credits. We'll be back on the other side. All right, so as soon as we cut to credits, LaShawn had a very specific question he wanted to ask me. So LaShawn, go ahead. I told you I wanted to do it so the audience could hear it.
Craig described that her head vanished. I was wondering, was he just being, using great language, saying that as she pulled her head back and she pulled it back so fast that it vanished? Or did the head literally vanish once we locked eyes?
So it didn't like magician vanish or ghost vanish. Yeah, it was the head came up because of the moonlight for the first time, it wasn't just a head from where you were when you were in at Sarah's. It was a woman's face. She was close to Siobhan's age, maybe a little bit older than Siobhan. A plain woman, so not particularly attractive, unattractive, pretty or anything. Dark hair. And this all happened very quickly, obviously. But the one thing that was very obvious to both of you was the look of terror. And it wasn't a look of terror when she saw you. You're not even sure she did. The woman had a look of terror on her face from the moment you saw her peek through the window, pull the curtain aside. And then Klaus, as we went to break, was like, he leans back. Klaus goes, I have theories. So I made him keep them until we got to the other side of the credits. So Klaus, will you regale us with the audience and your fellow players with your theories?
Well, my first theory, the person we saw is the nanny.
So a person we haven't heard or known of. You think there's a nanny?
Yep, I kind of think that there's a imprisoned nanny for this 12-year-old horror baby that we've been investigating. Because, well, if you were the nanny of a 12-year-old kid who has no face or arms or legs and died, and possibly like my other theory is that he has like stitched on other children's body parts.
Yeah, either no limbs or too many limbs.
I'd have a vision of terror there too.
So what's interesting to me about that idea, Vaco, is that really ups the ante on the conversation that Chip and Siobhan are about to have with Miss Harriet, right? Because if there is anybody that would have ever gotten whiff of a nanny over the last 12 years, if there is somebody that's been in that house, there's one person who would know for a fact who it was. So hats off to you, Jesse. I thought that was a phenomenal idea, both as a distraction, which is critical. Plus, nobody knows what's going on, like the neighborhood busybody, right? So I think that's great. Jesse, for you, what is kind of what's going through your head now that obviously Chip hasn't seen this, but and I'm asking Jesse.
Yeah, when you first mentioned the body parts and the baby with no limbs and stuff, the first thing that popped into my head was, like he said, stitching them on and stuff, but that's 12 years ago that this thing has survived. Why does he have a baby's arm 5 weeks ago? But I do like the thought of him and Randolph cleaning up things and getting stuff from the hospital and then disposing of it himself in the dump because nobody's going to look there. Definitely seems like there's some shady stuff going on. Yeah.
Reanimator. That's what I just popped in my head. Reanimator.
Do you know Reanimator is based off of a Lovecraft story?
He's one comedy short story.
Yep.
I really.
Yep.
Now I think that he is taking body parts and stitching them together to make a family, and to make a family that will accept the child that he has. He can't go marry someone else and have kids.
So you don't think this is just a woman, right? You don't think this is just some imprisoned nanny like Class. You think that
I think he made a new mother for the child.
Oh, what's the it's like the Vision run where like the family is made and then like
No, but see, he's actually taking parts,
Yeah.
He's actually taking parts of people and stitching them together like Reanimator.
So you, That's interesting because that changes, right? So Klaus is thinking like this could be a rescue mission, right? As kind of what, based on what Klaus is saying, is that we've got a woman who's been imprisoned here. LaShawn's like, that could be Frankenstein.
Yeah,
We just saw
I mean,
through the
she's still
window.
in prison. Like that's why she has to look at terror, because she doesn't know where she's at, and she just knows, she just wakes up, fire bat, like that, like she doesn't know.
He has a white streak in her hair. It's got like the wave perm.
Oh, wait a second. Does this make the Corbett Frankenstein and this the Bride of Frankenstein?
Like literally this time, right? All right.
Technically,
Joe,
say this is Frankenstein's
get the
monster. Sorry.
That's exactly right. That's why the Bride of Frankenstein is a terrible title. It should be the Bride of Frankenstein's monster.
See? Yep, there we go.
Which, by the way, just real quick, if you've never read the original Mary Shelley novel, it is an incredible book. So like when you talk about, there's two classic horror books that really that we saw turned into a lot of other things, but if you've never read Bram Stoker's Dracula, highly recommend it. It's not like just like a life-changing book. It's not that. What's really interesting about Bram Stoker's Dracula is the entire book is actually a collection of letters. And it's a wonderful story because it's told through so many different viewpoints. It was a very interesting way that Stoker allowed him to jump from viewpoint to viewpoint to viewpoint. And all you read, the entire book is correspondence. And it's all after the fact. And I mean, I found it very easy to read. So if you've never read that, but Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Prometheus, I mean, and it's disgusting that she never is talked about as much as she is. Because first of all, so talk to the fact that she was like 19 when she wrote the goddamn thing, right? Nothing had ever been written like it before. Everybody around her, she was in a whole circle of writers. They're all her contemporaries at the time. They all knew exactly who she was and what she was capable of, but she never got the acclaim, never got the recognition. The book Frankenstein was never recognized until long after she passed. But it is, if you have a chance to read it, it's not a hard read like a lot of other books that were written around that same time, and it's riveting. And to your point, LaShawn, it's the story of Frankenstein, right? The monster is prominent in the movies and stuff like that, right? But the Frankenstein is that, and the closest I've seen come to the book, and it didn't get close enough for my taste, is if you don't want to read it, go see Ewan McGregor's. He directed with De Niro as the monster. It's not a great movie, but it's the closest to the source material, but it still doesn't delve into it. So anyway, that's my literature. Brian in the chat says there's also an unredacted version of Dracula as seen in Night's Black Agents. Funny story about that, Brian. Yes, you are correct. I have not read it yet, but I was sent 2 copies of it. And so I've got an extra copy. I've been trying to decide what to do, whether to do a contest or something from it. But Kenneth Haidt went through, and he took Bram Stoker's Dracula, and the premise is that Bram Stoker's Dracula is an account of a covert operation by the British government to recruit Dracula into their service. And that, and that's why the book is called The Unredacted Dracula, because it shows what the story was really about. I'm dying to read it. I'm dying to read it. Oh, have you read it?
Yeah.
Are you going to play Night's Black Agents when I do that?
Well, if the offer is
it's on my list.
I might know definitely going to play. I can hook you up with who is a big fan.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. I'm very fascinated by it. It's spy thriller meets vampire conspiracy. So sign me up.
Sounds a bit like Pride and Prejudice and zombies.
Yeah. And it's Kenneth Haidt, who is I think one of the greatest of all times to this day as far as RPG designers. All right, Joe. We've heard a couple theories. I want to know if you are with any of these, have your own. Where are you?
Okay. A lot of stuff just happened in the past 5 minutes of a bunch of theories. I also, because it's me, need to say that in addition to classic horror, you should read the original Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It is aggressively different than its pop culture portrayal.
And that is on my list. I've never read that, but you telling me I should is going to move it up my list. I've heard that before, but that's
very different, very weird. So for game stuff, for the theories wise, the
book club is over.
Yeah. I mean, look, if we ever want to do Third Floor Wars Horror Book Club, sign me up. For the kind of ideas of the nanny kind of brought something interesting of like, it could be a nanny. We also know plants are still involved, so it could be something that needs constant tending, that Mr. Corbett has to have this front of being like this sort of legitimate businessman, and to do that has recruited someone to keep tabs on something that needs constant minding. Like it could be something gardening related. It could be a loose amalgamation of child limbs related. Yeah. There's a couple things. I also wanted to say for the session as a whole, something that I don't know if it was intentional or not, but something that was really interesting to me is like from our second session to our third session, in our second session we looked very much at the sort of supernatural side of horror, and in this session there was a long period of time spent on the very human aspect of the terrible things that happened in our history. We are not too far removed from the treatment of mental health issues being used as entertainment for the rich and affluent people. So I really like that we had that sort of highlighted and in this game.
That was on purpose, Joe. That was on purpose. And I was very nervous about portraying the one patient.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways you can go with that, and you can go a real bad way real quick. And I don't have firsthand knowledge of that, right? All I know are the caricatures and things, and I tried. I don't know how successful I was, but it's not easy to do, and this isn't a warm fuzzy type thing that guys like these are real people that are sick in the same way people have cancer, right? And so often in media they are portrayed, especially in horror, they are portrayed in a very comical way. And I'm glad you noticed, Joe. I did make a point of talking about, just like, sanitarium is not creepy. It's fucking sad, right? Like it's horrific that those places existed, and what I described, those places existed. So yeah, Joe, that is definitely something that if you guys did go to the sanitarium from a thematic standpoint, I did want that to be there. So I appreciate you calling that out. That was a conscious choice on my part. And anybody who has feedback as far as, my portrayal of the patient, I'm very open to it. I did the best I could. By no means do I pretend that I did it well. So, by all means, feel free to reach out to me and offer any kind of directions there, because it's not something that I normally do as a GM. So this was fantastic. So Joe, and I'm just going to randomly pick you, if you don't mind. And this is going to seem like a little bit of a strange question. Let's say in theory that I was wicked into anime, theoretically. Is there a particular, any type of podcast or anything you think that I could look at? Is there anything that you've ever come across that's worth my time?
Oh, there's 100% great podcasts about anime that kind of list the history or the kind of process of that being made. But what I get from you, Craig, is you don't want any of this technical highfalutin art reviews. You want someone being exposed to anime, usually getting very angry, and then a host that is experiencing schadenfreude of really enjoying this person going through a lot. And for that, I would recommend Been on Hiatus. We're things are in the works. WTF Anime, available where all good podcasts are littered about the internet.
So I've listened to a few episodes,
Oh,
Joe,
really?
and I do hope it comes back. You guys are great. You really are. You've got a really neat chemistry, and there's a whole lot that happens in those conversations. So highly recommend it as well. So
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
check it out. So real quick, we've got a couple things going on. Coming up here is going to be our Icons game. We're going to be potentially even finishing out the superhero game. The Forbidden Lands run that we're doing and the Mothership run that we're doing has exploded. Both of those have become not only the most popular actual plays that have ever been on this channel. Mothership is by far the most popular video that we've ever done here on the channel. If you dig this horror stuff, you'll definitely want to check out Mothership. If you want to see a horror-ish look at fantasy, that's definitely Forbidden Lands. Also, huge plug. It's going to be in a week. Grab the schedule on the socials for Third Floor War socials. You want to see episode 2 of the other Call of Cthulhu game, the Burning Stars run. And it is me as a player, not as the keeper. And my good friend Brian, who plays in the Forbidden Lands game, is the keeper. And I learned so much watching him run a game, and it was just one session. So if you definitely are digging this type of thing, you definitely want to check that out. We are people that woke up in Haiti, had no idea what was going on, and I have tried to piece things together. And Brian pulled a Craig at the end, man. We were like kind of like poking around, figuring stuff out, and then he's like, boom, go to credits. It's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. The Craig cliffhanger. So yeah, make sure you check it out. Most importantly, we've been playing for just over 3 hours now. The 4 of you, I really appreciate it. I missed you guys. So it's really nice to play with you again. I can't wait to play again for episode 4. And then you sat here and watched this whole thing, and I appreciate you watching as well. So everybody take care. Thank you.
Bye.